Hey therapists, have you been wondering in this season, should you return back to your office? Should you stay via telehealth, or should you have a mixture of both? And so today I'm going to be addressing 3 myths to help you have a profitable business and make the best decision for your business. Stay tuned. Hey, welcome back to the Branding for Abundance podcast, where mental health therapists learn how to brand and build a profitable business and lifestyle. So I am your host, Dr. TK, clinical psychologist and #1 therapist business coach. Now, as you can see, if you are watching this via video, in addition to listening to this on the podcast, I have came back to doing videos for my podcast for YouTube. And so I want to explain my setup. If you see me looking down to the left, for those of you who are watching on a video, I have a lot of notes and I want to make sure that I include all of the points because this will be a very epic episode. So make sure if this is your first time joining me that you grab your pen and paper because you definitely are going to have some things to think about, some things to journal on and take massive action. So about a month ago, I did an Instagram poll and I started asking therapists that are on my feed, on my list in our community, where do they get stuck at in their business in terms of adjusting back to our new norm or adjusting into our new norm? And so I had a few things continuously come up over and over again, but one of the questions that continue to come up is, talking about them, do they go back into the physical office or do they stay online? Which one is better? And so what I've done for you today is I have broken it down into 3 different myths. And I call them myths because the way that the questions come through is they come through more as statements, which means that mental health professionals may believe that it has to be black or white. It has to be all or nothing. Okay. So let's go ahead and jump in. Myth number 1 that I have seen in my polling is that therapists should go back into the office because it is better for the therapy client. Okay. So one thing I would request that you do as a mental health therapist is ask yourself a better quality question. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rearrange the words that you use to ask this question, and then we'll go into a reframe and I'll share some things with you. Okay. So a better quality question would be, how is going back to the office better for your therapy client? Which means that you have to have a very good idea about the clients that you serve. And so let's directly go into the reframe. So first thing you want to think about, and this is where you would have your pen and paper out, is what has been the difference between similar clients that are currently on your caseload and they're presenting problems and their transformation. So if I see 2 adult clients, it doesn't really matter their age unless that is linked to their presenting problems. But let's just say they both came in to tackle adjusting, working from home, having children, having a partner or spouse, and they came in though for the same thing. Okay. And so what I really want you to look at is commonalities amongst those clients to determine if they actually were successful in treatment via telehealth over the last year, if that's how you chose to deliver services. So first, look at your caseload, okay? And then also ask yourself, if you saw some of these clients before telehealth, did their progress tremendously increase? Meaning, did it improve? Did it stay the same? Or did it deteriorate? Some of those clients may have prematurely terminated from therapy because maybe they prefer to be in person. So you want to first do an evaluation of the clients that have come into your office and really, or via telehealth, and really start to compare and contrast the outcome that they had. Because what I'm really getting at is this a myth from therapists or is this a myth from our potential clients? So another way to reframe this myth is, what are your hours when you are providing services via online on telehealth versus in the office? And so I can personally state that I have way more flexibility when I am providing services online versus in my office. Now, this also could depend on your living situation and where you're choosing to see clients. Currently, I'm in my home office. My home is a tri-level home, which means that I can literally detach from the rest of my family. I can detach from my 3-year-old and my 10-year-old sons and my husband and the loudness. And because the only thing that's on this floor is my office, the front door, and the garage, the only thing I would have to worry about is interruptions with my children going in and out the door and maybe slamming the door. Why is that important? If you choose to work from home, the workspace has to be conducive to you providing therapy services. This is why some of my clients that are in my coaching programs have chosen to keep their office during the last 14 months, maybe because their home was not conducive to providing quality therapy. Now, on the other end, if you were in the physical office and we never had a pandemic, we never shut down, I want you to really reflect on what was your availability like at that point. Again, I wasn't working every day of the week, not that I am now, but even my hours were restricted. I would come in later and leave maybe later or earlier on certain days based on my drive home, traffic, clients' availability to get to the office. So these are things that you want to consider before doing a all or nothing decision in terms of you moving your practice to, back to the office. Okay. Now, I do want to share what happened to me way before this current era that we're currently living in, because I was exposed to having to move my practice via telehealth 3 years ago. Okay. And so if you've tuned in to my podcast and or potentially some videos, you may have heard me reference a motherhood series. And in this motherhood series, I basically broke down how I had to move my entire practice within 24 hours online because I went for a regular checkup. I had a very high risk pregnancy and my OBGYN took me off work that day for a regular checkup. And she basically said that I was on bed rest at 5 months pregnant. Now, one of the bigger issues was that I had not told my clients that I was pregnant yet. I planned on telling them that December, in which I would be 6 months, because I was not showing a lot either. And the only people who figured out that I was showing or pregnant were my teenagers, and they asked. So the reason I'm sharing this with you is because I immediately had to take my clients online. And in terms of the myth, if, the office is better for my client, I actually gave my clients the choice. It was not all or nothing. I mean, it was to a degree because I clearly couldn't come into the office, but I gave them another alternative. So the alternative was, I don't have to transfer you to another therapist in my office. I also don't have to give you referrals. I can still see you if you would like to see me via telehealth, and these are the benefits. My schedule is more flexible, and things like that. And out of about 25 active clients at that time, 10 to 12 clients stayed with me via telehealth. One particular client went to another therapist. They were an adolescent client. They had, a lot more severe symptoms, in which I just thought it would be better to see someone face to face, and also that she can continue treatment beyond, me having my son, because I would clearly be on maternity leave at that point beyond the bed rest. And so again, I'm sharing this with you because some of my clients chose not to do telehealth because of the myths or limiting beliefs that they created in their mind, despite me letting them know that even though the treatment may feel different, we can still do high quality care. And so what ended up happening when I returned back in May of the following year, some of my caseload never came back to treatment. So about half of my caseload decided they thought the stuff was going to hit the fan and they were just fine. And they actually had taught themselves that they knew way more coping skills than they assumed that they did. So they actually graduated from treatment before I came back. Another group of my clients chose not to come back because they prefer not to have to find a babysitter. They prefer not to have to drive to the office, not have to sit in traffic. So they said, you know what, we can keep this online thing because at first I didn't know what to expect. But now that I've had a taste of it, I'm good. If we need to do a session in the office, can I let you know? And I said, yes. So can you believe that the only people that came back to my office were 2 clients? 2. And one of them was that adolescent. She came back to my caseload. And the other one, they came back. And after 2 sessions, again, they graduated from treatment. So I'm sharing this with you because we can sometimes help facilitate the negative views of telehealth versus office if clients have a choice. And I'm here to tell you that it doesn't have to be and or it can be a mixture of both. Okay. And so I want to make sure that you have a profitable business as a mental health professional, whether you are just beginning or you're revamping your practice. So I want to make sure that you're equipped to create a good foundation for your business so that when these things come up, you know how to tackle them as a business owner. And so, yes, I am interrupting my own podcast episode to give you a better understanding of how I have something for you called the Dope Therapist Academy and how that can help you create a blueprint for your business, understand your client avatar, create your own client funnel to reach your own clients and get paid your value, understand your niche, aka your expertise that will lead to streams of income, and of course, be able to delegate tasks so that you can get your time back. So tune in for this short, brief commercial. I hope that you're enjoying today's podcast episode. And yes, I am interrupting my own podcast show to invite you to check out the Dope Therapist Academy, also known as DTA. We help therapists move from living check to check, not seeing their ideal clients in their practice, feeling overwhelmed as a result of running their business by themselves, and not seeing real and true profits in their private practice. All you have to do is head over to www.drtk.com/DTA. This program has helped therapists in over 30 states, and it can help you too. DTA is perfect for any therapist either starting or revamping a private practice to experience exponential growth and earn 10K months or something better. In less than 60 days, we have helped our students implement our 5-step brand model, which results in a massive upscale of their business. So how would you like to build your dream caseload with your ideal clients? Create a profitable business blueprint, a map, so that you can know exactly what to do in your business and create your dream schedule. How would you like to gain clarity about your niche so that you can also add streams of income beyond your wildest dreams? What about developing a wealth mindset as a business owner, not just an entrepreneur or a boss, so that your private practice can generate profits? How would you like to press an automation button in the back office of your practice so that your business can run efficiently and effectively while you live abundantly? And lastly, how would you like to delegate tasks to accomplish the freedom lifestyle that you deserve and build a team? So regardless if you are a newbie, existing private practice business owner, or you have a private practice part-time or on the side, you deserve to create a business and a lifestyle full of abundance. So to learn more about the Dope Therapist Academy, be sure to head over to www.drtk.com/DTA. Now let's tune back into our podcast show. Okay, so now that we're back from that quick commercial, let's go ahead and continue to myth number 2. So conducting telehealth is not as impactful as in-person treatment. Maybe that's something that you've told yourself or that the clients have told you when you have maybe provided them with a choice. And so again, let's go over a better quality question. So what transformations or social proof like testimonials from your clients that have been in therapy with you before, what transformations have they experienced as a result of telehealth versus in person. So this is really tacking on to the first myth, but now I really want you to look for social proof. What have your clients actually told you what worked and what didn't work? And did they really speak to a barrier being in place simply because you were online versus the office, or maybe they were ripping and running trying to get to the telehealth platform, so they had to do it on their phone in their car, and maybe that became a barrier. So in terms of reframing, let's just say if you met with your client before the global pandemic, before this current era, what has been their positive feedback when you transition via telehealth? And I really want you to dig deep and look at your caseload to see if you had pushback from any clients when you had to move them via telehealth, even though they knew that we really didn't have a choice. Those clients who you receive pushback from, how are they doing now in treatment, or how are they doing before they completed treatment with you? Because again, that can give you a big indicator that telehealth is not all bad. And so again, we're going to get rid of that myth. Okay. Also, have you seen a difference in growth in terms of your client's progress via telehealth? And have you seen your practice grow because maybe you can serve more people via telehealth? So share a quick narrative story as well. I believe in a safe space. I know that when we provide telehealth, we have to make sure that our space is confidential, as well as checking in with those clients that we see and ensuring that their space is confidential as well, that they have good Wi-Fi or internet connection, and that they have headphones. So just in case they're in front of other people, we can still at least communicate with them, even though we know that there may be restrictions in terms of what they can tell us, because some people don't have the capacity to go into a corner and have a confidential conversation. And so I had a teenager on my caseload way before this pandemic, and her family had moved 50 miles plus out from my physical office location. Now, this was also a young woman who I felt like I was pulling teeth trying to get her to talk. And so when her mother moved her away, her mother didn't want me to stop seeing her for treatment. So I moved her to a telehealth platform, and literally the first session, I could not even talk much, which is a great thing. And her session lasted for a full 45 minutes. When she was in the office face to face, it wasn't that way. I don't think that she was uncomfortable, but it was a barrier there. And I couldn't figure out what it was, because truth be told, I would have to bring her mother in about 25 minutes in the session to really just have a family conjoint session, because the young lady wouldn't talk to me. However, when we moved online, she was like a totally different person. So I ended up telling her mother, don't bring her back to my office. Why am I bringing this up to you? Again, look at your caseload. When we look at the impact of providing services via telehealth or in person, it also depends on the type of client that you have, which means that you should be making a decision, if you have the option of both, on a case by case basis. And it doesn't have to be all or nothing, maybe if they try one, unless you are limited with space in office. Maybe you're sharing an office space with someone. But if you have the ability like I had, where I had my own office space, I told the young lady's mother, I still want to have a family session, whether it be once a month, depending on what's going on with her, or every other month. But when we have our family sessions, I'd prefer for those to be in person. And the mother was fine, because they would still drive down because their family was still living near my office. Okay. So now let's move on to the third myth. Okay. So insurance companies will stop reimbursing telehealth after this era is over. And so a better quality question is, have you actually contacted the insurance companies to determine if they have a plan of if they're going to, in the future, restrict telehealth? The reason why I chose to bring this myth up is that if you are a therapist and you are on, or you're currently on insurance panels, certain insurance panels always told my practice, because I had a group practice at one point, no, when we wanted to do telehealth services, they said, nope, it's not allowed. And all of a sudden, when this pandemic hit, literally within 48 to 72 hours, we were able to bill with a CPT code, with an extra letter on our billing process. We were able to bill telehealth. And it just made me think of all the loopholes in the mental health system, because if they were able to transition that quickly due to a national emergency, that means that they could have always allowed us maybe to see clients. And could they have just potentially, to me, personal opinion, could they have just allowed us to see maybe certain groups of clients who, if we serve marginalized populations or individuals who live in lower SES communities, who have gas issues, who work on the other side of town, but maybe culturally competent wise, they want to see a therapist who looks like them, we should allow them to see us via telehealth. And so first, you want to, if we're talking about now the reframe of taking action, you want to be able to contact the insurance panels, ask them, do they have a plan? And even though they may not have a date, at least note that either they said they don't have a plan, or if they do have a plan, you may want to note what the plan is. Okay. So that you can know, okay, starting January 2022, I'm no longer going to be able to bill clients through this insurance panel via online, because recently on Facebook, I did a Is Your Private Practice Pandemic Proof workshop. It was for an hour. It's on my podcast, and I believe it's on YouTube as well. But one of the things that I covered is therapists doing an assessment on your business, because if we really look at how therapists were able to build their business during these times, you didn't have to do a lot of marketing. You literally showed up, said that you were a therapist, you were licensed or not licensed, depending on your states, and people just started seeing you. You were able to build your caseload. But what goes up must come down. And it doesn't mean that people won't deem mental health as important as it is now, but people are going to start going back into autopilot in their lives. Children are already going back to school. Colleges are already reopening. People are already going back to their jobs. And so what does that mean for you if you don't know how to market your business? So make sure to check out the Dope Therapist Academy, because marketing is part of what we coach and teach you about in that program, so that your practice can be open beyond a era like the one that we're in now. So as I mentioned, I am an insurance provider, and being a part of Medi-Cal in California, those plans would not allow us to bill Medi-Cal before the pandemic. However, these are just some quick tips. Is as you are moving closer, potentially to moving back to an office or getting an office, if that is your choice, you definitely want to ask the insurance company, will they still pay for clients who are seen online, even if you have a physical office? Because not all therapists are choosing to stay online. Also, you want to have a conversation with your clients. Let them know, especially for those clients who first start seeing you via telehealth, you want to let them know if you're fully transitioning back into your office, when would be the last date that they can see you via telehealth, if that's the case. Because if they live 200 miles away from you, because telehealth has opened doors for therapists to see clients across their entire state that they are licensed in, clients clearly cannot come see you if they're 200 miles away each week. So don't forget about having the conversation with your clients, okay? So in total, what we've talked about today are 3 myths to help you decide if you should only do telehealth, if you should go back into your office, or if you can do a mixture of both, like I did with that adolescent client. So we talked about debunking the myth of therapists should go back into their office because that is best for the therapy client. We talked about also conducting telehealth is not impactful as it is in the office. Now we know that that's not true. If you really just look at your client's progress, I know that you're a great therapist if you look at your track record. And then number 3, we looked at insurance companies either accepting or denying providers' ability to continue telehealth services. So I really hope that you enjoyed this podcast episode. If you are watching on the video, please share this with your therapist friends as well as on the podcast. If you're listening on the podcast, make sure that you follow us so that you can be in tune with any podcast episodes that come up. And if you are watching this via video, please give me a thumbs up, and also leave me feedback. Let me know what was your biggest takeaway, and also what other things do you want to learn about in the mental health business arena, because there are not a lot of people that are talking to you about how to have a profitable business and lifestyle. Now, again, if you want to hear more about the Dope Therapist Academy, we have some awesome things coming up. Make sure that you check out the link in the bio. We may have an event coming up. We may have a wait list for you to learn more, but make sure that you check it out. And if it's something that you deem you need in the next 6 months or in your business right now, whether you are starting a private practice or revamping your current practice, we are here to help you. So I will see you in the next episode and continue to manifest abundance. Bye.